afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Black Mental Wellness Lounge. I'm your host, Brandon Johnson. And so today we're going to be talking about a topic that's really critical to Black mental health and one that I admittedly struggle with. But before we get to that, I wanted to announce that we're going to be going into a conversation series that'll be starting in August. And so we're going to have different guests on to talk about a bunch of different issues. We're going to be tackling like grief and Black men. We're going to be looking back at kids and trauma. We're going to talk about this transition from kids to virtual learning and being at home and how to care for them during that time. And going to bring some guests in about that. We're also going to bring in some other foundations and people who are working in this space to talk about their initiatives, their foundations. So the Green Heart Foundation, which I volunteer with, we're going to have them on. A Beautiful Mind Foundation that I also support, they'll be on here as well. And so with another bunch of guests. And so I'm excited to have that. And that's going to start in October. So you'll be seeing more information about that. So as for today, I wanted to talk about a topic that I admittedly struggle with. And so it's a 4-letter word that can be really elusive to Black people, but it's so important for Black mental health. And that word is rest. Rest is something that we often try to do more of, but we're really not often successful in doing. We have so many different obligations in our lives. Many of us are parents. We have careers. Some of us work multiple jobs. We have interests that we want to partake in, organizations that we want to support, and other commitments such as church and other faith communities, as well as, our own personal schooling and helping our kids get through school as well. But like right now, like think about the last time you got some really good rest, right? Like, when was it? I've heard so many people say that quarantine has made us busier. So you would think, like being at home, we would have more time to rest and regroup and recover. And it hasn't been that way. For us who have been parents, it's been juggling, helping our kids with school as well as doing our work. And those of us who are teleworking, it's an adjustment to get used to doing that full time. And there's a part of you that wants to like do extra so people, know that you're doing what you're supposed to do. And then there are the other group of us who are essential that have to continue to go into work and put themselves in harm's way during a global pandemic. And on top of that, we talk about this, in Black mental health. And, as with a number of other things, Black people are more likely to experience challenges from a lack of rest. And systemic racism and the issues that we face as Black people also contribute to that. So like research has shown that Black people who have higher levels of perceived racism were more likely to report sleep disturbances and depressive symptoms. And racism doesn't just impact us like just at night when we're trying to sleep. So another study looked at racial discrimination and depressive symptoms and looking at how it impacts us during the day. And so that study saw that perceived racial discrimination was a significant predictor of daytime fatigue. So we're talking about during the day, like not being able to function at work or to feel at peace or to concentrate on things. And also, it's historically, we haven't, as a people, been able to have the luxury of rest because of so many factors that have come into play that we have to deal with. Black people and Latinx people are more likely to work essential jobs and are more likely to have to work more than one job to be able to make enough money to provide for their family. Mass incarceration is another facet of this, where we've been disproportionately arrested and locked up and sent to prison. So those who are left have to do more, including spouses and children have to do more to be able to do their part to keep the family afloat during this time. So this absolutely is a social justice issue as well, about being able to rest and to rejuvenate and recuperate. We haven't even been able to rest during COVID-19 with the deaths of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. We've really taken to the streets to protest these injustices during a time where there's a global pandemic. So as Black people, we don't even get the time to rest during a global pandemic. And so I wanted to talk today about a couple ways to prioritize rest and to think through how you can incorporate rest and more sleep into your day, because it really does help us to stay sharp. It can help alleviate depressive symptoms, irritability, aggressiveness, and just overall quality of life. And so let's jump into some of this. So let's talk about how to prioritize sleep. One, differentiate between productivity and being busy. We oftentimes equate productivity with impact, about how much time in a day we spend doing something, like actively doing something, like that's how we're productive. But oftentimes our days are filled with tasks that don't really lead us closer to the goals that we've set out. So make an action plan that maps out a timeline of when small productive steps can take place. This is where impact happens. It's not the big overall thing, and it's not completely staying busy from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep 7 days a week. It's also about mapping out what are the small productive things that we can do and put on our plates that will lead us to the bigger goal. And again, I'm also having a conversation with myself right now. Set a proper sleep schedule. Going to sleep at the same time each night can create an eternal path to better sleep. 8 hours of sleep, as we heard, is ideal, but if that's not realistic, going to bed at the same time each day for the same amount of hours will help you get the most out of your sleep. If you're having trouble sleeping, one strategy to try is to avoid getting into bed until you're absolutely exhausted, until you're very sleepy. And then you can even stay in another room until you feel like you can't keep your eyes open. Then that would be the time to transition to bed. Don't get on your phone and start to look up things, then and hop back on social media, but plug your phone up, lay down, and go to sleep. And that can also help. Another major thing, and one that I'm trying to practice more now, is learning how to say no. This is one of the best tools that we have in our toolbox, and it centers around boundaries. So prioritizing rest means saying no to things that will mess up your rhythm. And so there's so much outside and often internal pressures to being successful. We want to feel like we're keeping up with friends, with family, with trends, with society. Saying no to things that don't align with your goals can reduce stress and allow for better sleep. Even right now, while we're all being active, and many of us are active in activism right now, even taking a break from social media, jumping out of the fray, as I say, tagging in someone else to help to keep the work together while you rest and recuperate is a great strategy for keeping your energy up during these stressful times. So if you feel like you've been having trouble sleeping, or if you're sleeping too often, it might be a good time also to consider therapy. There are some other factors at play that may need to be worked out. So getting into therapy may help to talk through some of those things. There's also a video that the Black Minds Collaborative did that I would happen to be a part of, that I'm going to link to this video to help talk about how to get into therapy. So if you're not sure how to do that, I'll link to this video on this page as well. And so it wouldn't be the lounge if we didn't discuss a resource. And so the one I want to highlight in this space by far is the NAP Ministry. So the NAP Ministry was founded in 2016 by Tricia Hershey, and is an organization that examines the liberating power of naps. And they believe that rest is a form of resistance, and that sleep deprivation is a racial and social justice issue. So please check them out. They're on the NAP Ministry across all platforms. Can continue to look and follow they have trainings, they do seminars. It's a really, really awesome resource for us Black people as we consider how to incorporate sleep and rest into the things that we do each day. So thank you for watching this video. Share it if you think it'll be helpful. And whenever you get a chance, go ahead and take a nap. All right, talk to you.